Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's July week 2 and so time for another recycle, repurpose, reuse stroke usual scraps prompt. I'm going to be using my usual scraps journal as I tend to always do during this particular week of the month. This is what I've got so far. I just absolutely love how this journal is coming together. That was the project I did for last month's usual scraps. So here we go, this is what I've got so far. So we've got a pocket here with some book pages and napkins. I just love this, and of course this whole journal is just filled with scrap pages here left over from painty papers and that kind of thing. Now let me just put this to one side. Leslie Jones from Leslie's Creative Pizzazz asked me if I would dedicate a video to really using scraps that I've accumulated from previous projects. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. These are some of the ones from last week's video where I was doing the leaf printing and gel printing. So, you know, I've got lots of backgrounds and things that I might be able to incorporate into some projects this week. So I've got those. I've also got these here. Now, when I was doing the art journal page using the jelly print last month, was it last month or the week before? I can't remember, where I was using the Hessian fabric to print on the jelly plate. A focal image was originally going to be an orange giraffe, and I did a duplicate page, exactly the same method as I did for this one here. So I'll leave the link to this particular video in the description box below for anybody who's interested. I did an orange page as well, sort of, you know, like an orangey pink, with the view in mind that I was going to do a giraffe. And my printing station, my Tim Holtz printing station, just would not take the stamp, so I just couldn't get a good image. So that turned out to be a bit of a flop, but I've still got all the papers and the actual page that I was going to use for the focal image. I was going to cut the giraffe out of this piece here, and luckily I was able to just wipe it off because I'd used distress inks which are water soluble, so you know, nothing was ruined. But as I say, this page here was done in exactly the same as this one. But I used all of the crusty bits that were on the jelly plate, and that's what this turquoise is here. So it's the leftovers from this page, and I just think that is absolutely beautiful. So I want to try and turn this into a page that will go in my usual scraps journal, because, you know, what else am I going to do with this? These are all the mop-up pages that I've got left over from that project as well. Just look at that, absolutely gorgeous. I just love that mop-up baby wipe. So I'm going to try and do something with some of these as well. And then that was also left over from that art journal page as well, where I was just stamping off the leaves. So let me have a bit of a tidy up, get some kind of order going on, and let's get started. I want to start off by using this background here, and I think I'm going to use this particular page in the journal to pop it on. So let's get rid of that again and try and do something with this. The size is right, and because this is heavyweight cartridge paper, it might even be mixed media paper, I'm not sure. It's heavy enough to take the weight of this, which is definitely mixed media paper. So I just need to have a think about what I want to do to try and tidy up this background. So, right, I've got a plan. I've got one of the Dina Wakley scribble sticks. The colour is just absolutely perfect. I bought these a long time ago. I don't use them. It's just ridiculous. I've got my Primas, I've got my Neo Colour 2s, I've got these, I've got some of the Tim Holtz ones as well, and they all do pretty much the same thing. You do not need them all. So I'm just going to lay down some colour just around the edge. I don't want to waste it. I just want this all around the edge like this. And then we'll have some over here as well. This is just to provide myself with a bit of a backdrop. Of course, this background here is really mucky, so I just want to get rid of, you know, some of these grungy marks which don't look very, very pretty. you know, like this here. It looks as if I've used this as a mop-up paper, so it's probably got, you know, mucky watercolour on it, and that's what those marks are. So I'm just going around like this, not being particularly neat about this, as you can see. And then I've got a baby wipe, and so I'm just going to activate that pigment. And I can always go in with another layer if I want to. For instance, here I've rubbed some of it away. I want this to look like more of a watercolour wash, but you know, this is just a quicker way of doing it. So there we go. I'm going to give that a quick zap with my heat tool, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing again. I'm just going to add a bit more of that pigment, but this time I'm just going to focus on the edges just to get some kind of a gradient, just so that it looks a bit more interesting. I'm going to take my bracelet off because it's jangling and annoying me. So just on the edge here, just so that, you know, it's darker on the outside. Again, being really loose about this, you know, I'm not paying too much attention here at all. And again, just using my baby wipe just to blend out, whoops-a-daisy, just to blend out those edges. And then I think because we've got that grunge element in there, I think I might pull out my Distress ink in frayed burlap just to create myself a bit of a border. But yeah, I just think that's going to look really nice. I mean, this is grungy anyway. I really, really like that. How cool is that? I've got my Distress ink in frayed burlap, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that ink around the edges just to frame it and just grunge it up slightly like this. And I think I'll do exactly the same thing with the page itself as well. I've inked around the edge with my Distress Oxide ink in frayed burlap, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to pop that to one side. I just love all these little marks. And for my focal image, I want to use this napkin here. I've got a feeling this was from Waitrose. If anybody wants to know, they have some fabulous napkins. I think I want my puffin in this orientation, so I'm just going to cut this out. Here we go. I'm going to keep all 3 plies attached for the time being. Or do I? Which is going to be easiest? I think I will. What I will do, I've got a dish of water here and quite a thin point paintbrush, and I'm just going to go around the edge just to make this easier for me to cut the puffin out. I want jaggedy edges just because it blurs the lines more easily, so I'm just using the water here just to go around the outline of my puffin. I'll deal with the centre part in a second once I've decided what I want to do about that, and I'm just going to tear this. Here we go, and it should tear apart. Oh yes, there we go, really, really easily. I should probably have taken the layers apart first, but you know, there we go, I didn't. But this is working just fine. So here's my puffin, and I'm just going to separate the layers. These are coming apart really, really easily by doing it this way as well, because of course I haven't got that glue perforation from around the edges of the napkin, so I just want to just be a bit careful about this. And then I need to decide which way up I want my napkin, my background to go. So I think I'm going to have my puffin off centre, something like that. I'm going to be using the Galleria, which is Winsor & Newton matte medium, to glue my puffin down, something like this here. So I think I'll start off by adding some of the glue. I've just dipped my paintbrush in water. I'm going to apply it straight to my page like this. Go over the top. You need to be really, really careful if you're doing this because, you know, napkins are very, very fragile, unlike rice paper, and will tear very, very easily. Oh, come on, Nina, get your act together. There we go, like this. And I'm just going to lift that up and just keep applying more glue where it's needed. And I just think that's probably the easiest way to do it. So just work on your napkin a bit at a time. And if we get some wrinkles, which you can see that I've got a few, you know, it doesn't matter. This is a junk journal at the end of the day. Now, of course, I've got this section here in the right hand corner where the napkin is too short. So what I'm going to do, I've just cut a piece off the bottom of another section of the napkin. I'm just going to tear the edge here because of course I need to blend this in seamlessly, and I'm just going to patch it up. So there we go, and then I can take the layers apart. Come on, you. That's the first ply. Of course, there are usually 2 or 3 ply to each napkin. Here comes the third one. And I can just tack this onto the end like that. And then you'll never know that I patched it up. So again, just add a bit of water to my paintbrush before applying some glue. And what I like about this is the fact that I've got those sort of like hash pattern, whoops daisy, just make sure I've got it in the right place, because I've got that hash pattern from the Hessian on the napkin. All the white and everything just blends in and you just really can't see it. So I'm just going to give this a quick zap with my heat tool and then decide what I'm going to do next. Love how cute that looks. Now you can see that my napkin tore in a couple of places. I tore the leg, so I'm just going to use a Neocolor 2 water soluble crayon. I've sharpened it to a point. I just use a metal pencil sharpener on the widest setting. There we go, widest hole, and then I can just go over that and just, you know, fill in any areas. Here we go, just to define my puffin just a little bit. You know, not too worried. I'm not going to play around with this too much, but that looks okay. And then I just want to define some of these little doodle details on him as well. To do that, I'm just going to use Posca paint pens. I haven't used these in absolutely ages, but you know, this is an art journal, scrap journal, and I just want everything I do in this just to be really quick, easy, nothing too complicated. Of course you could use acrylic paint for this and it would work in very much the same way, because you know, at the end of the day that's all this is. But that will just look, it's just brightening everything up a bit. How cute. We can add some to the beak here, little doodles, that's fine, make it more whimsical. And then I'm just going to turn this around the other way just so that I don't smudge it. I'm just going to add some white over these little wavy doodles here. There we go. Now I don't really like the white on here, so I am just going over it with my blue pen, and oh, I like that a lot better. The white went kind of grey, which I didn't like, but you know, who's to say what colour it needs to be. Then I just want to outline my puffin, just using some scribbly lines with a white gel pen. This one here is the Jelly Roll pen. And again, you know, once I start doodling, I can't stop. So I'm just adding some of the white inside the blue. It just adds more dimension and, you know, just makes things more interesting. And I think, you know, we'll just add some, define those highlights on the edges as well. Here we go. Cute, cute, cute. And then I just want to add one of the Tim Holtz Chit Chat words just as a little quote. And I'm going to add Be Awesome Today. Whoops-a-daisy, I've dropped it. So Be Awesome Today, which can go, where should I have that? Oh, da-da-da-da. There. And I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac just to add that. I've inked around the edges as well. I'll have it there, I think. There we go. That's how my page is going to look. I feel that it just needs darkening around the edges, so I'm going to use some Stays On in Midnight Blue just to darken it slightly and just make it stand out on that background. I think that's going to look better. And then I can glue that down, and I think I'm going to use some of my red score tape to do this, because this has warped slightly. It might be because it's not quite dry, but you know, either way, the red score tape will sort it out for me. Here we go. Here's this page finished. So I've just continued with the doodling. I just think that looks so cute. And because of all the detail and texture in the background, it just doesn't need anything else. Now, I've had a go at doing the background on the other side, and it's failed miserably. I thought that I might like to have the reverse, so sort of an orange peachy coloured border with the green, but it just doesn't work. So I've ended up gessoing over the top of it. So what I want to do now, let me just grab a scratch piece of paper. Bear with me. Here we go, this one will do. So I'm just going to stick that in there like that, and I've decided I'm going to go over it with this limey green oil pastel. Again, it's water soluble, so I'm just going to lay some colour down, and the reason I'm using this colour is that I think it'll pick out the green that's in the background there. This orange just isn't doing it for me, but you know, gesso is just a wonderful thing. If ever you do something and you think, nah, that's not right, just go over it with something else. No harm done. So we'll just lay some colour down like this, and then I'll use a baby wipe again just to blend it into the background. So there we go. And I'm going to use the baby wipe that I was using before. I've come back to do this a couple of days later, because that's the way I work. I do a bit, and then, you know, things might sit for a couple of days. You know, busy family life and work and that kind of you know, thing. So let's have a look, and I might need to build up a couple of layers of this. We'll see. And I like the fact that you can see the orange, so I'm going to zap that with my heat tool and then just repeat it until I've got the depth of colour that I'm happy with. There we are. Much happier. And then I think I was going to leave it there, but I think just a little tiny touch of white as well. I love these oil pastels. They're so quick and easy to use. Great for really quick borders and backgrounds. There we go. And again, just got myself another. I keep reusing my baby wipes over and over again. There is no need to throw them away. Just keep reusing them. Just you know, just use a spray bottle just to dampen them, or use a rag. We should all use rags, really, shouldn't we, and save the environment. Yep, I think I'm happy with that now. So I am now going to use my Stays On in Midnight Blue just to add a border. So let's get rid of that, and I'll go around the outside in exactly the same way as I did with the other side of the page. Now I've got these flowers that I want to use as my focal image. They were out of Daphne's diary. I cut them out, oh gosh, a long time ago. A couple of years ago probably, maybe even longer than that, and I've not used them. So I'm taking them apart because they're all put together, as you can see here. But what I want to do is just trim around the edges. And I'm just going to gradually get smaller and smaller I don't want them to be in a perfect circle either, just so that I can create some dimension. They just look, well, you can see they just look really, really flat. I want that one on top, so we'll cut a bit more off this one here, because I'm just going to layer these. I hope I haven't cut too much off this one here. There we go, and then I shall ink around the edges as well, so we'll be a bit wavy about it here. And then it looks as if I've used some kind of aqua green to ink around the edges. So let's see if I can find the same ink that I used. To me, as if I used teal blue. So let's just ink around the edges. But you could do this kind of thing with any kind of patterned paper, and you can see that at some stage I've tried to ruffle these. They've just gone a bit flat because they've been hidden away in a drawer for quite a while. So let me just poke my what do you call these, brad through, and then we'll try and sort of ruffle them up just to give them a bit of dimension. You see that looks much better. And then just try and ruffle these up, scrunch them up. There we go. And I can sort of do the same with all of these, but doesn't that look better than that one there? Okay, so those are my flowers. So I'm just going to take the Dina Wakley scribble stick again and just do my stem. I'm following the line that I've already got that was created by the gel print. I think I want to try and add another colour as well. Hang on, let's just add a couple of other colours of green, just to add sort of like a shade on the other side as well. I think that will do. So my flowers are going to go something like this. So I'm just going to try and get that to sort of bend over there. That's gone a bit brown, hasn't it? There we go. Just get the shape of this right. So one of my flowers will go there like that. Then the other can sort of, here we go, sort of come off there like that. Which colour did I use now? I can't remember. I think it was this darker one, wasn't it? There we are. And then we'll have one there like that. So again, I can, here we are. Yeah, I like that. And then I've decided for the leaves, I'm going to cut some of the leaves out from this gel print here. Now, which ones do I like? I think I'm going to fussy cut these two here. So I'm just going to add just a bit of the water-soluble crayon to my leaves just to darken them. There we go, on some this green too, just a touch. And then what did I do with my baby wipe? So I'm just going to blend those colours. And how easy is that? And then I can ink around the edges. Those need to dry. I also want to blend the stem. So I've got a little paintbrush here. Let's just activate those colours. That's better. Just darkening these slightly. I love the fact that drying them as well and using all this liquid has made them curl, because they look like real leaves. And again, let's just go over with that damp baby wipe just to activate it. we go, and then I'm just going to ink around the edges. Again, I think I'll use the Stays On in teal. I've got an olive green, which might work quite well. Yeah. Look at the state of my fingers again. So to give my leaves some dimension, I'm just going to use the tip of my paintbrush just to roll it over, just like this, just so that again it's not too flat to the page. It looks more realistic. I really like how that looks. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit of doodling to my stem, just to make it a bit more whimsical. Turn your page just to make life easier for yourself. And I just think that lightens everything and just gives it more of a whimsical feel to go with the background. And I'm thinking I might add a tiny weeny bit of gesso just onto these as well. Just put some gesso on my mat. Oh, my paintbrush is falling apart. Yeah, I like the way that looks. I need a bit more gesso, so I'll just continue doing this to the other flowers as well. Okie dokie, so I'm ready to start assembling my page. I am going to stick this down first because of course if I add all the embellishments first, it'll be two-dimensional for me to start adding tape afterwards. So when you're doing things like this, think about how you're going to glue it down to your background first of all, because otherwise you can end up creating a bit of a problem. And this is just the red score tape that you've seen me use before, 6mm. Now make sure that you're gluing your background the right way up. So let's have a look. You just position this, have a little fiddle first. That's about right. Grab a piece of paper just so that I can smooth it out. There we are, so that's that. The background I think looks really pretty, the colours are perfect. And so I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac again, which as you know, I decant into one of these needle tip bottles, place my flowers where I want them to go, something like that I think, and I'm just going to glue it down. So I'm just going to add a fine bead of glue a little bit at the bottom, going all the way to the top like this. And so I want one to go there like that. So I'm just going to smooth it out. And Fabri-Tac will rub off, so you know if you do get any overhang of glue, it just comes off. It's matte anyway, so it's not going to leave sort of like a shiny finish. So that's that. And then I shall just add a bit to the centre of the flowers again. You know, I want a bit of dimension here. Finally, I just want to add one of the Tim Holtz little chit chat words, again black, just to match what I've got on the other side. I'm using a bit of Fabri-Tac on the back as well, just to help it to stick. Collect beautiful moments. There we go. Oh, here's finished page number 2. So that's how they look like together. Let's just check I'm in frame. I just think that's really pretty. And of course now I've got the urge to do something with the inside as well, which is just looking blank and too plain, and I've got an idea. Now I can't decide what I want to do about this edge here. Of course this has come out of a spiral bound pad. I think, I'm not sure whether this is mixed media paper or cartridge paper, I'm not sure. Now I think I just want to trim this here. So what I am going to do is just take my, in fact I'll do it this way around, it might be easier. Just take my scissors and just taper that edge, just to take some of the bulk away from it. which might make it fold just a bit more easily. So that's a bit better. I will glue these down, I think, once I've worked on the background. Now I think, what am I going to do? Right, I'm going to fold these over to start off with, just so that I can work on this part of the page first. It's bumpy and that is absolutely fine. Let's move my scissors out of the way. And again, I'm just going to use water-soluble crayons to just create a really quick background. So let me just choose some colours and I'll be right back. So I've chosen a few colours of different shades of blues, a grey and a white, from a mixture of different sets. I'm just going to lay it down really roughly like this. And I know that I'm going to get some of the texture from the background, and that's okay. That really doesn't matter, but I just like the idea of having a blend of all the different colours. So just lay it down willy-nilly. Some of these are quite similar actually. And I can go in with the first layer and then lay down more as well. So let's have some grey. And we can have some white in there as well. I'm going to save the darker one because I'm not sure whether I want to use that or not. And then I've got my damp baby wipe. This is one that I was using on the previous page. And so I'm just going to blend these colours, and you can see that I am going to need another layer of this. So I'm just going to keep building up these layers like this in the same way, but just a really quick way of just adding a bit of colour using the same products that I've already used before as well. So keeping everything in keeping. You can see that I've got lots of scribbly lines. I am personally not worried about that, and I shall give this quick dry with my heat tool and then do the same thing again. So that's what I've got so far, and I know it's looking a bit splotchy. That's fine, it really doesn't matter. Now I've decided I'm going to cut the perforations off at the top because I just don't think they're going to work for what I've got in mind, so I'm just going to take that to the trimmer. That was definitely the right thing to do. So what I want to do now is just colour the bottom of the page. This time I'm going to use blues and greens. So these are the colours that I've grabbed for the bottom of the page, and again I'm just going to lightly just add some colour here and there. Again, I just want a bit of variance. I've grabbed that same grey and white as well, so let's add a bit of that just to keep a bit of continuity going. Then my same rag, which could do with spraying. It's gone a bit dry. Move on to the next stage. I want to ink my page, so I'm using some of the cactus green just to highlight the edges of the green. Flip it over and do the side. Here we go. Again, I just think everything looks, well, you can see everything looks so much better when you've framed your piece. So my idea is that I can use the bits that I cut off from the flowers on the other side. So I think I'm going to lay it out something like this. And I've got a sponge. Let's start off with some of the Dina Wakley blue, because I've got an idea as to what I want to do. Let me just spread that out so that I can dip my sponge in. So let's load my sponge up with some paint. And what I'm going to do is, there we go. And I want one here, another one over here like that. There we go. I want to do the same thing now. I'm just going to clean that off because I want a yellow one and an orange one in the centre. In fact, I'm going to have 2 yellow ones, I think, because otherwise I just feel as if I'm introducing too much colour perhaps. More paint. Sponge always soaks up paint like a sponge. I can't believe I just said that. And I'm going to use a smaller sponge to add a white centre, and then you'll see what I'm going to do in a second. What have I done with the white paint? Here we go. So I'm just going to put some of the white. Oh, everything's flying all over the place. Which end is the softest? I think it's this one here. And then I'm going to aim trying to get this right in the centre of each of these and swirl it around just to give a bit of detail. I don't know whether you can see the swirl there, but it just gives a really nice pattern. I've just put some white paint out onto just a little glass palette here. This is just one of my stamping blocks, and I've got a piece of scrap cardstock, and what I am going to do is just add some lines, trying to get it fairly even, and if it's not, it really doesn't matter. Just adding texture to my flower. Right, try not to overthink it, Nina, just try and do it quickly. Here we go, like this. That's better. So it works better if you go quicker. So I've added my spirals, and you can see that I've just got loads and loads of leftover paint left. So what I'm going to do, just to get rid of the lines in the centre, is just spiral again like this, just to blend everything together. I love that, and add more texture to the centre of my flowers. There we go. I love that, and I'm just going to have to be patient now and let that dry. So that's what I've got so far. My paint is dry enough now for me to start gluing things down. And let me just grab a piece of parchment paper. I'm just going to take some of the Fabri-Tac again and just glue a small bead just around the centre, because again I want a bit of dimension. Move that out of the way and place it down something like that, and I just want it to meet at that join. So I'm just going to tap it down, and I'm going to glue them all down in that same way. This is how my page is looking. I've darkened the border slightly. Let me just fold those over. I just want to add the stems. Got a little dish of water just above me, and I'm just adding just a little bit of detail at the tops of the flowers like this, and I'm just going to carry these stems down now that I've folded my page back out again. I've just cut out the rest of the leaves. There were 5 leaves left over from the leaf jelly print, and so I'm just going to use the water soluble crayons just to colour these in exactly the same way as I did for the leaves here. These are just the leftover ones from this page. Activating it with a baby wipe or a paintbrush. Adding various shades as well, just to give it depth, and as soon as I've done that I'll be back. this is my page so far. I've used a white Posca paint pen just to add some doodles to the stems and the leaves. And now I just want to use some dimensional paint just to add a few dots just to give my page just a bit more interest, make it look more whimsical. Try not to overthink where I put these. I've just kept adding my dimensional paint to my flowers. I just absolutely love how that looks, and you can see that I've added some white dimensional paint to the V of the flowers as well. Now I've got a couple of butterflies that were sent to me in Happy Mail during the embellishment challenge, and I just want to add a couple of these. I think I'm going to give them a bit of dimension like this. I shall ink around the edges, I think, and then I've just got a couple of chit chat words. Out of limitations comes creativity, which I just think is perfect for this because we are using scraps, just scraps of bits and bobs. It's all perspective, so I'm going to glue those down, something like that. That's that page done, and I'm really happy with that. I'm not going to glue the flaps down because I'm just thinking that I might like to do something on the other side. I'm not sure yet, so I'm going to leave that be. But I would really like to go back to this piece. I've been having a play. I don't know, just having the 3 flowers just isn't doing it for me. I just feel that it needs something else. So I cut some of the other flowers that I had down. And you know, I'm just thinking, do I like that? I think I do. So here it is, all finished. I've added another bud to the flowers. Here we go, using Nouveau drops in a similar colour to the leaves. I just felt that it still needed just a little something, but adding the extra couple of flowers was definitely the right thing to do. Now, this is the section that this page came out of, and I absolutely love this page next to this piece of artwork here because the texture from the blind sample that I used for this one here just matches the gridded texture from the jelly print absolutely perfectly, but I am just not so keen on this. So because everything is elastic, of course it gives me the opportunity to move things around. So I'm going to move these over here like that. There we go. And I think I'm going to put that in the central section there like so. So then they're next to each other. I've also got this that was in the centre as well. Which way round do I like that? So I think I'm just going to keep that in the centre for the time being because that actually goes really well as well. And that's my spread for this week, this month. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me put some more pages together in this journal. It's starting to get really nice and fat and actually quite heavy now. So I am just so pleased with this. Let me just give you a quick flip through again. Of course, these were the pages I did last week. I've got these 2 pages here that need finishing this end of the journal, and I've got some ideas for those. And then, of course, you know, the rest is all finished apart from this central section here. So just loving that. And then, of course, I'll be working on all of these pages at the back. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed that again this week. And if you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up because it really does let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course I look forward to seeing how everybody else decides to interpret the recycle, repurpose, reuse stroke use your scraps prompt this week. So take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.